49ers general manager John Lynch spoke with Bay Area reporters Monday afternoon on a Zoom conference call. And although his job is to answer questions truthfully, he answered them as truthfully as he could. Here are my main takeaways from John Lynch's pre-draft conference call. One, he confirmed Adam Schefter's report that the 49ers are open to trading either or both of their first-round draft picks, number 13 or 31, because they have no picks after round 1 until round 5, nothing in rounds 2, 3, or 4. He said that's absolutely true. They're hoping to trade down, but they don't have to trade down. What Lynch said is that they're open to taking a foundational player at pick 13 if he presents himself, if he's available. Otherwise, they'd like to trade down from 13. Same thing goes for 31. The question is, what is a foundational player and who fits that description? He wouldn't say. Basically, it's a player you build your team around. And so the follow-up question was, what positions are in play? And what positions are not in play? Specifically, would you take an offensive tackle? Because that's usually considered the foundational piece on offense along with quarterback. Lynch said, absolutely, we certainly could take an offensive tackle if that player is a foundational piece. Well, it's pretty much agreed that the top 4 offensive tackles are foundational prospects. Tristan Wirfs, Jedrick Wills, Andrew Thomas, Mekhi Becton. I'm guessing if any of those 4 are there, the Niners will take them. Why? Well, Shanahan was asked about Joe Staley, the soon-to-be 36-year-old left tackle. Signed a 2-year extension through 2021 last year. Lynch was asked, is Joe Staley coming back for 2020? Lynch said, we're encouraged. We're encouraged that he'll come back. We haven't heard that he won't, which is a nice way of saying we haven't heard that he will, and we don't know for certain one way or another. He went on to say, Staley's older, and all older players, we sort of give them the courtesy to take their time and make their decisions, no matter how many years they have left on their contract. So who knows if Joe Staley's coming back? And absolutely the 49ers could take an offensive tackle. And I'm guessing if they do take an offensive tackle, that might affect Joe Staley's decision one way or another, whether he wants to play for the 49ers next year. So nothing was clarified on that front. And yes, the Niners could go OT at 13. Next, cornerbacks. John Lynch was asked, what's your plan there? Because none of the Niners corners are signed through next season. And he gave a very interesting answer. He said, well, we really like Richard Sherman. We like our young guys. And he mentioned Emmanuel Mosley and Tim Harris Jr., who they drafted in the 6th round last year from Virginia, played in training camp, went on IR, redshirted the year. Didn't mention Ahkello Witherspoon. That was their 3rd round pick in 2017. And up until he got hurt week 3 last season, they were looking at him as their future number 1, the heir apparent to Richard Sherman. Got hurt, came back, picked on mercilessly by the entire league, got benched. Divisional playoff game against the Vikings. Lynch said, big year for Ahkello. He's got to show it on the field. He said, I remember some years ago drafting him and liking things about him, and I still like those things, but now he has to show it consistently. So that tells me that while the Niners thought very highly of Ahkello until recently, I don't think they do anymore. I think it's gone from belief in Ahkello to it's up to you to prove it. We've kind of moved on mentally and we're looking for the next guy. It's not Mosley. It could be Mosley, but Sherman's old. It's probably not Tim Harris Jr. Who's going to be the long-term running mate with Emmanuel Mosley? Well, he's probably going to be in this draft. I'm thinking the Niners are going to draft a cornerback and probably high. Maybe not in round 1, but maybe in round 2 if they trade down. Maybe in round 3. Wide receivers. Someone asked John Lynch, well, is wide receiver a foundational position? Would you take a wide receiver at 13, or is the value of that position just not there? And he didn't really answer the question. It's a very specific question, and if he says, no, we can't take a wide receiver, well, that lowers the Niners' leverage at pick 13. They want other teams to think, yeah, of course they could take CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy if he's there, trade up. So the way he answered was, would I take a wide receiver at pick 13? He said, well, we really like our redshirt wide receivers. And he giggled at the concept because he kind of stretching the redshirt concept. He put Trent Taylor in there, missed the season last year, had an infection in his surgery. They said they're counting on him to come back, hoping he'll come back. Jalen Hurd, another guy, missed the entire season. They want him to play it or have an opportunity. And also, they put Dante Pettis in that redshirt class, even though he wasn't injured. He just didn't show up. So I guess that makes him a redshirt player too. Anyway, Lynch said, we want to give those guys another chance. And remember, Kyle Shanahan handpicked all three of them, and he's not the kind of guy to admit that he was wrong about things, especially quickly. Solomon Thomas is still on the team because Kyle Shanahan picked him. Tevin Coleman started every game last year, even though he was the worst running back on the team because Kyle Shanahan wanted him. And he likes to justify his bad moves or his bad decisions. We all do it. It's understandable. So just thinking it's not the right thing to do, but we all do it. Thinking like Kyle here, I'm thinking if he takes a wide receiver at 13, that blows all those other wide receivers out of the water and is basically an implied admission that Shanahan was wrong about Dante Pettis. He was wrong about Jalen Hurd. He was wrong about Trent Taylor, and he's giving up on him. That's not Shanahan's personality. His personality is to trade down a couple times, take another wide receiver in the second round like he did last year and the year before, or even wait longer than that and create a bigger competition among the red shirts and sort of make it Debo and everyone else. I think that's how the Niners are thinking about it. I don't expect them to take a wide receiver in round one. I could be wrong. That's how I read what John Lynch said today. Offensive line. We asked Lynch specifically about center spot. Like, what's up with Weston Richburg? He tore his patella last year late in the season. And Lynch said, well, we're concerned, but we expect Richburg not only to be ready to start week one, but be ready for the beginning of training camp. So that's very specific. He also said it's given the injury situation with Richburg, he's injured his knee the past 2 seasons. It's so important that the 49ers signed Ben Garland. That tells me that the Niners are financially committed to a starter and a backup at center and forget them drafting a center. I don't think they will. That's how I read it. And then finally, the rumors that popped up today that were silly, I thought. The rumors that the Niners are looking to trade D Ford, Quan Alexander, Marquise Goodwin, and Jaquiski Tartt, 4 guys, including 3 starters on the defense. Lynch said, he's so diplomatic. He would never come out and say, whoever wrote that's a liar. Trent Baalke would do that. Lynch is much more presidential, senatorial. He said, this is that time of the year where there's reports, and some reports are just reports. Some reports are real. He said, well, what I can say is that we certainly are shopping Marquise Goodwin. As far as the other guys, we love them and are counting on them to be on the team next year. So I don't think Tartt is going anywhere. I don't think Quan Alexander is going anywhere. I don't think D Ford is going anywhere. Maybe the Niners would like to trade him, but no one's trading for D Ford and his arthritic knee and his $17 million a year contract at his age. No, the Niners are stuck with him. Same with Quan Alexander. He missed half the season last year, missed half the season the year before that, making a ton of money. No one's trading for Quan. Those are the Niners guys. Get used to him. They're not going anywhere. And as far as Marquise Goodwin goes, it's kind of funny that the Niners are trying to trade him because he doesn't have any trade value. But I understand where they're coming from. They don't want to just cut him because I would expect the next day he would sign with the LA Rams. And he would be a nice addition to the Rams because he's sort of kind of the same kind of wide receiver as Brandon Cooks, who they just traded to the Texans. Just a fast, deep threat, small guy, quick, get down the field. It's a good fit for the Rams. They need a guy like that. And Jared Goff throws a heck of a deep ball. I don't think the Niners want to just cut Marquise Goodwin and see him potentially go to a division rival and play well. Same thing for Matt Breida. They could have let him go, not picked up his restricted free agent tender. He could have gone right to the Rams and started or been their change of pace back and really helped them. So the Niners are in a little bit of a quandary. They have Goodwin, also Breida, that they don't seem to really have a role for, but they know the Rams do, and they don't want to make the Rams better. So that's why I think those guys are still on the team. Lynch said things could happen around the draft because that's kind of like a deadline. The NFL is a deadline business. I think it's wishful thinking. John, I'd be shocked if you can trade Marquise Goodwin. In fact, I will tip my cap to you, good sir, if you do trade him. I don't see it happening.